Hello, I am Jody Wolf. You're watching EXPOZ, September 21, 2011, and it is 1 minute after midnight, Birmingham, Alabama. Topic, Samson Option. Again, the Samson Option. I don't think many people's heard of this, but very interesting. Mr. Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, is going to the UN, the United Nations, with a formal request for a PA statehood. We've all known this. It's been building up and working up to it for some time. Back in May with Benjamin Netanyahu and Obama meeting, it was brought up at that time, and Netanyahu shut it down very quickly. Anyway, it appears also there will not be a flotilla before their formal request. And it also appears the United States at this time will veto and shut down if they should get an okay. I don't know if they'll veto a vote. I don't know if they'll veto it should they win a request. But in any case, the word's out that the U.S. will veto it. So there are those who have said behind closed doors that if the UN even takes a vote, and it does appear that they will, and then the PA will go with the UN vote, which will be a yes, and disregard a veto from the United States and Israel. This is major problem. Now, here is what something that no one knows, or very few people knows, and I may be your first link to this news. And here it is, and I'm going to bore you just for a moment. Israel is living in the land God gave them. Now, I know, and you know, this to be true. If you're a Christian, you know it. If you're not a Christian, well, you just learned something. Indeed, God gave that land to Israel a long time ago, and God will not allow it to be divided ever. God will rip into pieces those who by force march into Israel and decide to bomb the Jews out of God's land. Now, I know I'm dragging this out somewhat, but please bear with me, because I want to be very clear on what I'm going to tell you, and I want you to be very clear on how you understand it, because I don't want to tell you something that's not true. And but where I am and where Israel thought process is right now, I just want to get those things up to date. They will never give up 1 inch of God's address, which is Jerusalem. Never. They're just not going to do it. Now, this is what will happen if anyone, any country, any nation, in any group of nations, any force, inside or outside of Israel, for some very strange reason, enters into Israel with a military mean to take any part of their country. Now please understand, God will protect Israel. I know it. You know it. And if you're a Christian, you do know it. But the Jews don't know it. They still don't know it. I think deep down they do, but anyway, so if this happens, Israel will use the Samson option. This is the very last option. I mean, there's none after this. If Israel has to, they'll use the Samson option. Now, remember the story when you grew up as a kid, maybe watched the movie. I know I did. I never understood it I was always pulling for Samson, but he took the chains that were tied to his arms. Now, I think they were tied to 2 columns that held part of the roof of a giant coliseum he was in. Now, you can read the story, and it's very interesting, but it is a true story. Now, he was either tied to the columns and broke the chains, which takes, Superman to do this. But I'll go ahead and just quickly get it on out there. These chains were tied to his arms, and he broke them. And then he threw the chains. They were long enough. He threw them with like his right arm and wrapped around the column to his right. Took his left arm and did the same to the column to his left. And it would take really a superpower, supernatural strength to pull these columns in. But he did it. And when he did it, the Colosseum came down, and it killed everybody in it, him and all of his enemies. So think about this. If you're down and you got a detonator in your hand, and it's for a foreign country to come in and take your land, and you know when they take your land, they're going to rape, they're going to pillage, they're going to destroy, they're going to do everything to destroy you because they already told you they would. Iran still says it every chance they get, and these idiot newscasts, these news stations runs this stupid little midget man that he's going to kill every Jew. So, the Samson option will take care of all that. Israel won't allow, not for an inch, of any part of their country to be taken away. As the Colosseum came down and killed all the enemies of Samson, this is precisely what Israel will do. No one will take Israel from the Jews. Israel will use the Samson option and destroy all. That means themselves and all the armies who come to take their land, including their lands. It's like they hold the detonator in their hand, and the last man standing will use it. So, again, I know God will protect them. I just know this, because Israel will be left in the end. Now, they'll be partially destroyed, but they'll be left. And but they don't know it. The Jews don't know it. Anyway, this is what's my take on this, and of course this is not going to happen, but just like Leviathan, the submarines they have sneaking around out there that are aimed at Iran, Israel's full of tricks, deadly tricks. And I ask you, if you go back and look at the last blog, The Harbinger, I did. I have a second one to follow up there in just a few days, and I have done 9 other parts to the prior blog, but some reason, somehow, I've had a lot of problems getting those downloaded, but I'm going to still get them downloaded. So, this is Jody Wolf, EXPOZ.